Hello, welcome to another video from EarnPed.com. I'm Stevie B, happy to have everybody with me today. Today I'm on a mothership out in space doing some repair skilling. The ship's actually fully repaired up and there's no need to go piloting at the moment, so I wanted to shoot a video for you guys before work. I'm shooting from the hip as always, so bear with me a little bit. So today I want to talk to you about something I was doing some research on the other day. If we hit K, we can pull up our skills. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people spend a lot of time on. Everybody focuses on their total skill points. Well, total skill points is great. It's always good to see that number go up. But really, I like to look at this and see what the progress of each skill is, how these skills kind of interact with each other, how they contribute to all the professions. I like to really do deep dives into it if at all possible. So one thing I did the other day is I sorted highest to lowest, and I went through each piece bit by bit, and we're going to do that today, and I'm going to show you guys some really interesting information. We'll get through this as quickly as possible. So social, we can talk about in another video. Beauty, we can talk about in another video. I want to skip to science. And if we get to science, we see engineering, mechanics, electronics, spacecraft systems, pilot computer, all that. That's all related to mothership repairing and piloting a mothership and all that good stuff. But then if we go to page 3, we see that I've got Xenobiology, and I only have one skill point in it. I've really never done anything with it. And if we read it, this is an indication of your knowledge of xenobiology and its relation to the entities of that class. Okay, that doesn't tell me much. And then if we go to page 2, we see that I've also only got 1 point of robotology. Okay, robotology is a measure of your accumulated knowledge about robots. Well, I've got a lot of knowledge about robots, so I should have more than 1 point, right? So what's going on here? Well, if we look at our looter professions, which everybody talks about, animal looter 45, mutant looter 42, robot looter 38. Now I know that's fairly low for most what you would consider mid to high level players. I don't consider myself high level, I consider myself mid level at the moment, but, and other people might disagree with that, but naturally my looter professions should be higher than that. And part of the reason they're not is because I focus so heavily on trying to get to 55 evader, which I'm almost there. I'm at 53.8. And once I hit 55 and unlock quickness, I'm going to start dumping all of my codex rewards into looter professions to try and get my looter professions to level 100. Usually, the robot looter lags behind quite significantly. I've managed to kind of keep them all more or less in line with each other, but robot looter tends to lag very, very bad. I know people that are almost level 100 animal and mutant looter that are only high 30s, low 40s robot looter. So what's the deal? How does this all relate to robotology and xenobiology that we looked at in our skill sets? Well, if you reach level 30 in robot looter, you unlock the skills salvaging and robotology. Now, obviously I'm over 30, I'm 38. So salvaging is a hidden skill. It unlocks at level 30 robot looter. It gives us a 10% contribution to our robot looter profession. Doesn't really say anything about skill gains. So if we look at salvaging, there's no information on skill gains, so I'm of the assumption that there's no skill gains related to salvaging. However, it might just be that we don't have the information on it. But since I've unlocked this, why don't I also have any growth in my robotology? Because robotology also unlocks at level 30, and it's a 2% contribution to looter, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking trying to get 100 levels banged out, then every little bit matters. Well, if I've unlocked it, so let's see here, salvaging. Where is it? Where's salvaging? Okay, here we go. So salvaging, I've got 2,498 points. Well, I unlocked it at the same time as robotology, and I've only got 1 point of that, so what gives? This is the same thing we can see with xenobiology. I'm actually Googling all this as I talk to you guys, because I've got to pull up like 800 different pages here. Xenobiology, I unlocked at level 30 animal looter, and it's got a 2% contribution to animal looter, just like Robotology does to robot looter. So if I unlocked it at level 30 when I also unlocked butchering, so skills, butchering, I've got 3,894 points of butchering. I should have some amount of xenobiology, right? So here is the reason that it's so weird. The only way to get xenobiology skill or to get robotology skill is by using scanners to scan creatures. And you've seen this before where you see the little picture pop up and it looks like an item page, but it's got the creature in there and it tells you how much stamina it has, how much agility, all that information. You might have even seen people walking around with these things. They look like this. And they'll equip them and they'll come up and they'll scan you and it'll do that weird green effect on you. And then what happens is it pops up a window just like this, an item window, but it's got your avatar in it and it tells them what all your stats are and what all you've got equipped and everything. So this is a scanner. Now this scanner is the Investafoe ES500 Limited. This is the one you can grab off Calypso from the trade terminal. There's nothing really special about this. It's just the trade terminal scanner. I want to show you guys a different scanner and then we're going to talk about it. This is the Investafoe ES500 Unlimited. Look at the markup on this thing. TT plus 3,300 ped. TT plus 3,000 ped for a scanner. So 300 to 330 US dollars for a scanner. It literally does not kill anything, mine anything, craft anything. It just allows you to pop up an item page to see the stats of whatever it is you scan, whether it's a robot, a person, whatever. It literally pulls up just an item window like this with all the stats in it. So why are these important? Well, they're important for a couple reasons. Number one is, like I said, it's the only way that you're going to get skills in xenobiology and in robotology. It's the only way you're going to grow these skills, and they do have that 2% contribution to looter. Now, when you're looking at looter overall, there are far better ways to grow your looter skills, and we'll get to those in a future video. But no matter how much you try and grow your looter skills, xenobiology and robotology are only going to grow through the use of scanners. It is the one and only way to grow those skills at all. There is no alternative option. There is no other way. You have to go out a scanning. So the reason I say that is there's actually an Investafoe ES500 Unlimited on auction right now for, I believe, TT plus about 3,200 ped. This is the Investafoe ES500 Unlimited. I did the math. The decay on this thing is 0.82 pec per scan. So less than a pec per scan, 0.82 pec per scan. But if we compare that to the one that we can get out of the trade terminal, the ES500 Limited, the ES500 Limited, the cost per scan is 1.02 pec. Pec, not ped, pec. So if we do the math here, you are saving a fifth of a pec every time you scan a creature with the ES500. Now, obviously, that adds up pretty quick. For every 5 scans, you save 1 pec, right? That's good savings. However, here's where the problem comes in. Sorry, I got tongue-tied there for a second. The ES500 has a markup of about TT plus 3,000. So doing math off the top of our head, knowing that we're saving a fifth of a pec with every scan on the ES500, knowing that 5 scans save us 1 pec, and there's 100 pec in a ped, do you realize it takes 1.5 million scans with the ES500 to essentially say, okay, well, now I've saved the right amount of money to justify using it? 1.5 million scans. You would have to literally spend all day, every day in Entropia for probably the remainder of your natural life to hit 1.5 million scans. So I cannot in any way justify this kind of markup for a scanner. I just can't. The other problem is now whenever you scan, you only get one scan attempt per creature. So if I go out and there's 20 creatures standing there, I can't use it like a sweat tool and just try and scan the same one over and over and over. If I try and scan it and it works, great. If I try and scan it and it doesn't work, I now have to move on to the next creature, and to the next creature, and to the next creature. And that's fine if you're standing in a giant area full of creatures with like 9 bajillion of them around. However, you might be out, so like when I'm hunting fowl, for example, there's fowl everywhere. It's not a problem. However, there's a lot of times you might be out hunting and there might not be a bajillion of them all around. It might be a very thin amount of mobs. You might only have a few, and you might have to run a long distance in between. It might be a hunt where you can't do melee, you can't do pistol, you've got to use rifle, otherwise you're just going to be running all over the place. Well, in that case, a scanner isn't so handy, right? Plus, do you really want to spend all of your time scanning, or do you want to spend your time hunting? How much is that time worth to do those 1.5 million scans? So, that being the case, what I have found out is it's not just, I'm going to get rid of this, it's not just the ES500 Limited that has a decay of 1.02 pec per scan. Pretty much across the board in 2023, all of the trade terminal scanners, no matter what planet you are on, have the exact same stats. They should all have decay of 1.02 pec, according to my research. They should all have uses of 20 uses per minute. They should all weigh 6 kilograms. They should all have a range of 35 meters. They should all have a TT value of 12 ped, and they should all be limited. They should be streamlined across all of the trade terminals on all the planets, according to what my research is showing. So, that being said, yes, the Investafoe does have more uses per minute. It does have, 24 versus 22. Not a big savings there. Not a huge time savings. It does have a better range at 80 meters. It does have a little bit lighter weight at 3 kilograms. None of that really makes two junks of a difference, in my personal opinion. Not enough to justify having to do 1.5 million scans. So, the only way I can really justify this, the only way it really makes any kind of sense to me, is if I want to grow robotology, and I want to grow xenobiology, if I really am concerned about that 2% gain to my looter profession, which I am. I'm not hugely concerned, but I am somewhat concerned, because long-term 2% contribution to looter does make a difference. Long-term, that is going to impact my loot returns, right? The only way I can really justify this is to say I'm not going to go with something like the Investafoe 500 at all. I'm just going to go with the trade terminal gear. I'm just going to go with the one that I get out of the trade terminal, regardless of what planet it's on. I'm not going to care that it costs 1.02 pec versus 0.1 or 0.82. And the only way I can justify using this is when I'm out hunting, if I'm specifically, let's say, hunting robots, because robot looter is the one that really is hard to grow. It really lags behind, so every little bit matters. Just put it in a cycle where I scan the robot I'm going to kill, I kill the robot, I loot it. I scan the robot I'm going to kill, I kill it, I loot it. I scan the robot I'm going to kill, I kill it, I loot it. And you guys will probably see me doing this a lot at Easter Mayhem, because Easter Mayhem is the Robot Mayhem. So what better time to do this than with Easter Mayhem? What better time to do this than with the 20th anniversary event, when we've got robots spawned all over the place? Now, that being said, like I said, it's only 2%, but that 2% will eventually matter. And I'm going to get most of those gains right off the bat because of how skill gains work. Because each point is worth more than the one before it and less than the one after it. And because I have 0 points of robotology starting off, my skills are going to grow very, very, very quickly. So I'm going to get the vast majority of the skill gain that I'm going to want for robotology fairly quickly. In fact, it might get to a point fairly fast where it no longer makes sense to even scan at all, where I've got about all the use out of scanning that I'm going to get for the life of my account. I don't know yet. It depends on how fast those skills grow and how continually they grow and how much that sticks with a growth pattern. I think, like any other skill in game, it's going to slow down exponentially. So I'm going to get a lot of gains at the very, very beginning, and then it's just going to slow to a grinding halt. And using a scanner at all just may not be worth, not even the extra peck that it takes to scan. It may just not be worth the time and effort at that point. So I want to leave that there today because I am going to be talking about looter skills more as we go, as looter skills are quickly going to become something I focus on now that I'm almost to level 55 evader. But I wanted to start there because robotology and xenobiology, they are skills that even though you unlock them at level 30, they don't naturally grow. There's no natural progression to them as you're out hunting robots or as you're out hunting mobs. And yes, they are 2% of your contribution, and that 2% does matter. It does make a big, big difference long term. And since scanning is the one and only way to grow them, and since the only really viable method to scanning at the moment is just to use the limited gear, I don't want to see people making the mistake of going out and spending 2, 3, 4,000 ped on unlimited scanners that are slightly more eco but would take 1.5 million skins to break even with. I would love to see people growing this skill. If they're really planning on getting to level 100 looter someday, you're going to probably have to, but do it smarter. Right now there is a ES400 on auction. It's almost as eco as the ES500. It has a decay of 0.85 peck per scan compared to 0.82, but you're still talking somewhere in the area of what, 500,000 to 600,000 scans to break even, because the markup on that is like TT plus 500. So you're still talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of scans just to get to break even on it. That little bit of extra eco, it's not worth what you're going to have to put in time-wise. Nobody's ever going to put in that many scans, or if they do, I don't see how they're going to do that and at all consider it a fun time or beneficial to their gameplay or fun for that matter. So that's kind of everything about xenobiology, robotology, and scanning and the eco on the scanners. Personally, if you want to go spend 400 or 500 markup on a ES400, or if you want to spend 3,000 markup on an ES500, and just know that you've got somewhere between 500,000 scans on the ES400 to 1.5 million scans on the ES500 that you got to do to break even, that's on you guys. Personally, I'm going to be sticking with the TT gear, and I'm just going to cycle it. When I kill a robot, I'm going to scan it, kill it, loot it, repeat. Scan it, kill it, loot it, repeat. And I'm going to grow that robotology as high as I can, as fast as I can, until it gets to the point where it no longer makes sense to grow it at all, at which case I'm going to move on. So that said, I've got a lot more videos related to looter profession. I think you guys are going to be really surprised where some of those videos lead us because of some of the other things you can do in-game that contribute quite substantially to the looter professions. So be looking for those videos. I've got a ton more videos ready for release. Mayhem's coming up, and those videos will be releasing during Mayhem. Also, we do have the Next Island community recognition thing. Like I said in my last video, I've got 7 primary videos made and 7 alternates, just in case the devs over at Next Island disqualify one of my videos. So those will be being released over the coming months, not weeks. But I've got a ton that will be released over the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for those. So for earnped.com, I've been Stevie B, sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. I'll leave it there for today. Head over to earnped.com, because when you earn, we earn. That's by far the best way you guys can help support us. Simply log in, use the links on the website to go to hideout.tv. It will automatically add us as a redemption option for your points. And be sure to hit all 3 of those buttons on YouTube. The subscribe button, the like button on every video, and the button that has a little bell icon that lets you be notified when we post new content. That tells YouTube to give us more exposure for the videos. It puts our videos in front of people that play games that are PC-based or real cash economy-based. And a lot of times those people haven't ever heard of Entropia. So because you hit those buttons, they see the videos, they watch the channel, they learn how to play smarter, not harder. Next thing you know, they're downloading the game, they're starting their journey in Entropia. Now they're part of the community, the economy. They might even buy something off you off auction someday, all because you hit those 3 buttons. So yes, it helps us, but it helps the game, the economy, and it might even help you. So do it. Sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. Enjoy scanning some robots, y'all. Take care.